What's up guys, welcome back to the channel for another ball review. Today we're going to look at the first Radical ball I drilled since switching over their Brunswick brands, the Radical Power Hitter. But before we get into this, look at that, John making a cameo. Look at that guy. All right, before we get into this, I want to thank Pinchasers Veterans for allowing me to come out here and do my videos and all my coaching. Really appreciate them. Without their partnership, my channel wouldn't be thriving, so thank you to them. So if you're ever in Tampa, make sure you come over here. It's right across the street from the landing strip for the airport, so the airport's right across the street. Fly in, come on over, bowl some games, help support the people that support me. All right, let's get into this thing now. And we're talking Radical Power Hitter. So what are the numbers on this ball? Let me get my little cheat sheet. It's pretty cool about this ball that they do have a sheet in here. It has some layouts on it, and it has actually the numbers on this ball, which been drilling so many balls, hard to keep up with all the numbers. So this ball undrilled is RG is 248, which I'll put it right over here. Total differential is 053, so a little bit on the stronger side, and an intermediate diff, which is probably the ASY. I don't know, every time different brand. That is going to be 015, so a little bit on the not in the medium side. All right, so along with this sheet, there is layouts in here based on a 5-inch PAP. Mine is 5.5, 1 1/8 up. So it's going to be a little bit different than what's on here for these layouts. But I did pick one of these layouts, the most versatile one. So we went with this ball. I went 45 by 4 by 35. Want to try something different. As you've seen from my videos in the past, I use kind of a standard layout, which is my standard one I really like. It's going to be 55 by 5 by 35. Use that on mostly all the balls I drilled when I first switched over. So this one went a little bit different. I want to see if I can get a different ball motion out of the ball, and that way when I'm building my arsenal for patterns or even for league, I can have a better understanding of what angles work for me with my rev rate and my axis rotation. Not a full roller, close though, but I'm not. All right, enough yapping. Let's get on the lanes and let's see what the ball can do. See if I can get you to see that where it's at. So it is a lot stronger pin layout than I normally have. If you watched my Infinity Quest video, that layout came off of this one. That one was 45 by 5 by 35. So because that ball is a little bit weaker than this one. All right, I'm gonna stop yapping. Let me just throw some shots. All right, we're gonna start farther to the right this time. Now that I should have the camera angle in the right spot, hopefully. Oh, look at that. Finally. I told you in the past, I've left a 9 pin with every ball. And that's, I think, my first one with that ball. All right, so from what you can see with this pin placement, it is going to flare a lot more with the 4-inch pin. With the 45-degree angle, it's going to make it want to read out of the oil a lot quicker, so flare away from my thumb a lot faster. And the 35 is going to make it more of a forward motion in the back end for me for the way I have to. I've noticed when I get down to 45s with the valve angle, it's a little more continuous. 35s are a little more forward. 25 is going to be even more forward, as you see from some of the balls I've drilled, the weaker ones when we get into those. That way, because those are drilled more for long. This I drill for short before I run out of the World Series of bowling this summer in Michigan. So I wanted to make sure I had a ball that was a little bit stronger, help combat with some of the urethane that might have been thrown during that event. So on that, we're going to stay over there. Because it's stronger, it's a little rounder, a little earlier. All right, what I'm liking about this layout, because it is so much stronger, like a stronger layout than I'm used to, the ball just wants to be earlier and rollier, but because that 35 valve angle, it wants to be quicker down lane. So I think I'm getting closer to an idea of maybe a pin down type of layout with the angles, because I've stated before, with my axis rotation, I do track really close. I'm really high track, and I want to try to get the balls off the thumb so they're not, when the heads do get drier, I'm not clipping. All right, one more from over there, and then we'll move. So because we want to test out the ball, especially since I've drilled it a lot stronger. There we go, already after a few shots, it's already starting to slow down a little too quick. But as you can see from playing that far right, this ball, these type of layouts that I'm going to put on, I put on this ball, Black Widow 3.0, the Infinity Quest, they're good layouts for me to use playing to the right when I do have to play on shorter patterns. Del Ballad 36, 37, maybe 38 might be a little too long for it. But at least it's a good ball where I could start and it blends the wet dry out for me on a pattern. Urethane's probably in play, and for me, as you know in the past with urethane, I haven't really found a way to lay it out yet in order to use it. Out there it seems to want to hit the 3-pin, but if I throw it here on the house shot, it hits the 7-pin. Go figure, it's probably just a layout, but we're gonna do some testing on that, and hopefully we'll make some videos on that as well. Okay, so now we're gonna move a whole zone. That was outside of first arrow. Let's get in my, since I'm the super house shot guy, let me get around second arrow this time with this ball and see what it does. We get that. I get into more oil. It is a little, wants to be early, getting a little confused. It's not really digging into the mid lane like I want. And that wasn't a bad shot. It just went a little too long. Now the out of box finish on this ball is right there. Now I have taken the compound off of this one as well, because I like to get into the cover. From what I found out, the sparklies that are in the cover makes the cover a lot stronger. So it could be just with this layout, since it is a lot stronger, I really might need to match up the cover with it. So scratch it up and make it even stronger and rollier than it is right now, because you can see it's a little bit more lane shine. I did scratch it with 1,000 last time and it was okay, but maybe in a couple more shots we'll scratch it up and see what it does. All right, from the same spot again, right around second arrow. See how it rolls. Yeah, it's basically confused. And that could be surface. That's basically surface. I'm moving into more oil. There's not as much dry in the front of the lane for this ball. Like I said, it wants to be earlier, it wants to be rollier with the layout, 4-inch pin, and it's confused right now. So let me throw one more and throw it more out to the dry and see what that does. Because right now, 245, I mean, I have to move right. I might have jumped a little too far left. So actually, let me do that. I'll move a few right, throw it more like 5s, oh, I'm sorry, throw like 6, 7 at the arrows rather than 9, 10. See what that does. So better. So for this house shot, which is a version of Gateway Arch, the amount of the oil starts at 9 to 9, where 1 through 8, it doesn't go as far towards the arrows with it. So it is a lot drier. So I'm trying to stay not in too much dry, but I also show you when I do get on that first, we'll call it a first cliff around 9, 10, how the ball shapes. All right, so we know what we're gonna play. If I was gonna bowl here with this house shot with this ball now, we're gonna keep testing it. So let's move left. I'm going to throw a more angle though, throw it to the right early to get it to shape down lane. We'll see. Okay, I like that. So I had to move more left. I threw it more to the right earlier, but still it made that round shape. There's no skid snappiness to it. It's really rolly. So we're going to take a second and I'm going to scratch it up and see if that gets it to dig into the oil a lot better, since it is a fresh house shot compared to the surface that I have it on right now. All right, so so I scratched it up, got a little more of a matte finish on it. It's more like an older 800 with, you know, a little bit of water just to get into the cover. I'm doing it by hand, so it looks a little more dull than it did when I started. Let's see how different the ball motion is. I'm not gonna move back to the right because I don't want it to come off the spot too much. So we're gonna go right around 10. And then we'll see if I can move left with it now that I have a little more surface. More like that. I had a little more surface on it. It dug in there. So from what I'm seeing with the ball, even though I drill it strong and it is a test layout, it is very rolly now that I have more surface on it. So this will be a ball I will use on a shorter pattern, and I'll add more surface to it to get it even rollier. So it could be my answer to urethane when I bowl on patterns. Let's move more left, but I'm going to throw more right like I did before. Now I have more surface on it, I should dig through the oil a lot better. All right, so that's what I'm looking for. Okay, got in more oil, it tried to grab through the oil, but it gave that little bit of push. You saw there's a little bit of push, and then it read the dry. So when it comes to, maybe this is not the right layout on this ball, but that type of shape is what I'm looking for, where it wants to be earlier than the mid lane, but it pushes through it, and then it has more traction after it gets through the mid lane type of reaction, so I could play left to right better. Yeah, I don't like playing left to right. Okay, we're gonna move left. We have to try to throw a little straighter though. Left the second arrow, so that way we see how it digs in after it gets to the end of the pattern. Yeah, just big rolly ball. Not a ball I'm gonna play in the oil with. I really need friction in the front and the back for this one, but also I'm just seeing that the layout's probably just not right for this ball. The idea is right, but maybe not the layout's right for this ball. So a couple more shots. So let's stop playing around with trying to wheel this one, because this is not going to be a left to right type of shot for me. Actually, it's not a ball I'm going to use left to right. More like a Widowmania, Theorem, the original Theorem, the combat balls like that, or I'm going to get more left to right. Where this one, it's going to keep me in the zone to the right. That's kind of why I drilled it, so I can stay in that zone, maybe from 1 to like 7, 8. Longer with this ball, and then if I need a ball down I can, rather than moving all over the place. Perfect. If it was on a shorter pattern where I had more volume, I think that ball would roll a lot better. For here on this house shot where there's a lot of oil to, there's a lot less oil to the right, it's not it's just not matching up with the house shot that's here. All right, one more shot and we'll be all done. So a good one though. That was a little too far right. It did read early. See, almost 5, 7, 10. All right, nothing. We'll finish on that 7, 10. All right, guys, that's my ball review on my first radical ball that I drilled, the power hitter, where I did a test layout that's in the sheet that comes along with the ball. Remember, every bowler is different, so going by just what's layout that's on the sheets is probably just a plan. Just like if you look at patterns, where you want to play and what zones you want to play in, the graph is basically a plan of where it dictates you want to play. All right, so make sure you do that thing, hit that like, subscribe, turn on the bell for notifications so you know my content hits the internet. And we got more ball reviews on the way. Appreciate you watching. Peace out.